We are live from Roots Hall with me, Ken and Gary for Talk of the Town 43. Yes, good afternoon. Welcome to Roots Hall and welcome to Talk of the Town. Firstly, before we begin today's show, but on behalf of everybody at Crawley Town, we wanted to send our sincerest condolences to Her Majesty the Queen, obviously after the passing of His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh yesterday. Obviously, the nation mourns and I think felt in football as well. But here at Roots Hall, and today we talk about the return of a Phil. We've been... Obviously, it's Phil Brown coming back to Southend. Lots of talking points coming up on the show. We're going to talk about the fact the last 10 years yesterday since Crawley entered the Football League. We're obviously going to talk about Southend, the return of Phil Brown. We're going to have somebody else from Southend on as well. We will hear lots from Gary. We've got Gary's stats. We've got a jingle for you, Gary.
Oh, really? I cannot wait.
Yes.
I cannot wait.
We'll have Gary's stat, as we'll hear from Danny Bullman as well. Of course, you can watch the action in just under an hour's time live on iFollow.
Follow in your heart, in spirit, in soul. You make every tackle, score every goal. You're part of it, wherever you are in the world. From the first minute until the last kick. Victories, heartbreaks. You're part of the fabric, the passion, devotion, supercharging emotion. For you, there is only one. Abiding loyalty, togetherness that is second to none. Follow every kick, every tackle, every goal. With access to live stream games and matchday commentary, with coverage spanning the globe. Behind the scene content, newsletters and match highlights. There's no better way for you to get closer to your club. And with iFollow sales supporting them, no better way to show your love. When you can't be there with iFollow.
Yeah, so it's £10 for all season ticket holders this afternoon, or season ticket and non-season ticket holders. So please do keep digging deep. There's not many games to go, is there, away from home? I think this is the fourth from last. So yeah, keep putting your £10 in. The boys and the club really appreciate your support. And I hope this season, this strange season, is almost over. And hopefully you will be back with us very shortly. Someone who is with us, Ken and Gary, thank you very much for joining us.
You're
joining
welcome.
me this afternoon.
Afternoon, Joe.
Let's go to Gary first.
Yep.
We're not on the greatest run of form, are we? We seem to be
No.
finding it difficult to churn out points.
Yeah.
We'll go through the lineup in a minute, but there's a few changes. What are you expecting to see from the side that John's put out this afternoon?
Well, I think the first thing that John and Lee will be hoping to see, Joe, is some sort of reaction to Monday. We laboured through Monday a little bit, didn't we? And I don't think it's any disservice to Oldham to say that they were by far the better side and deserved the victory on the day. So I think the players themselves will know that they've got to give some sort of reaction today. They've played a lot of football. But I think, again, like we said the other week about Port Vale and the fact that their new manager is starting to have an effect on them. Clearly at Oldham, Keith Curle is starting to have an effect because they scored 5 again last night, didn't they? 4 against us. Yeah. And 5 last night.
I do think we've been a little bit unlucky recently. I don't want to sound like I'm giving excuses, but Port Vale, we lost to them and at the time thought, not the greatest loss, but then they've gone on a really good run of wins.
Yeah.
Oldham, we seem to have caught in a hot streak. We seem to be picking up teams. Today, again, we got a new manager. And I suppose, looking at the league table, Colchester fans up the road will be screaming for a Crawley win this afternoon.
That's right. They'd want us to beat Southend today, wouldn't they? I mean, the situation there in near the bottom. As you say, Southend, they've had a little bit of a run, haven't they, recently? Picked up a few points, and Crawley just 2 points from the last 6 games. So, I mean, what more can you say?
Yeah, and it was unlike us, I thought, the other day against Oldham. It wasn't a John Yems team, if that makes sense. It was like from his teams, and even when we've been defeated throughout the season, John's teams don't tend to go out of a whimper, whereas really, and I even believe, I sat at half time, Nick Geordie will tell you, I sat there after I went, I fancy us, because I thought John's going to get into them at half time. We were 2-0 down, but I really fancied us to come out and really have a good go. They got the early goal in the second half, and it seemed to kill us off, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And as you say, it's not like a Crawley team, and never mind John, to sit back like we did, really, and be like, I mean, they were the best team by far, weren't they, last Saturday? So
yeah, absolutely. Well, with that in mind, there's been 4 changes here this afternoon from the side who lost to Oldham last weekend. So Morris starts in goal once again. Archie Davis comes into the side alongside Joe Mack, Jordan Tunnicliffe and Nick Cerula. Jordan Maguire-Drew comes back into the side, as does James Tilley. Jake Hessenthaler and Josh Wright starting midfield, we believe, with Tom Nichols and Ashley Naderson starting up front. So the 4 going out, Tony Craig, Jack Powell, George Frankham and Sam Matthews, who drops to the bench here this afternoon. So on the bench is Powell, Cisse, Matthews, Rodari Nelson and Rafiq Khalil makes up the substitutes this afternoon. Gary, 4 changes to that side. Do you think that's a message from John Yems that maybe he wasn't happy with the performance last weekend?
Yeah, most definitely. I think a couple have been forced upon him in terms of slight injuries to players. But I think when you look at the side, it's still a very, very good side, isn't it? I think there's a good balance on either side. Cerula left back, Davis right back. I think it's a good balance. Maguire-Drew one side of midfield and Tilley the other. You know that they're interchangeable as well, because we know that on the right-hand side, Maguire-Drew likes to try and chop in onto his left foot, doesn't he? And Tilley, if he swaps over, would be more sort of right-footed to get at the defenders. I think Crawley have really got to be on the front foot from the word go here today and not give Southend any time to settle into the game, because I think this is an ideal fixture for Crawley to get back to winning ways and maybe set themselves up for, it's probably maybe a little bit too late now for a charge at the playoffs, but certainly finish the season with a flourish, because like we said on Monday afternoon, Joe, Crawley can still have a big say starting from today in who goes up, who's in the playoffs and eventually who goes down. And as Ken just rightly said, there'll be people not far from here in Colchester praying for 3 points for Crawley this afternoon, because Southend play Colchester.
And also our 3 home games against the top 3.
Yep.
Yeah. So we play the top 3 in the league, our last 3 home games.
Yep.
I mean, we're going to have a big say on who wins this league.
Yeah, I think that's hopefully a positive. Even if maybe we're not desperate for points, if you like, going into these games, and knowing John and knowing how John is, he will be desperate and he'll be making sure the players are desperate for points, even if it's not going to mean promotion or relegation or whatever. Yeah. But certainly the game's going to be interesting, aren't they? Because there's a lot to play for. Starting here today, where Southend really need something.
Yeah, Southend are battling for their lives, aren't they? Second from bottom. They want to get out of that little relegation zone, don't they? Get above Colchester, as we spoke earlier. Yeah. And I mean, they'll be up for the fight. And with 2 of our ex-players in their team, obviously they've got something to prove, haven't they?
So we're going to talk about that very shortly. But first, we just spoke there about the Oldham game last weekend. Let's take a look back at the highlights from that fixture. Yes, let's bring you that lineup just once more. It does look like an attacking side here. I'm guessing a traditional 4-4-2. But Glenn Morris starts in goal. Archie Davies at right back, I believe. Nick Cerula at left back. Joe McNerney and Jordan Tunnicliffe making up a pairing in centre half. Jordan Maguire-Drew at one side. James Tilley out the other. Jake Hessenthaler and Josh Wright in the centre of midfield with Nichols and Naderson up front. Ken, I'm saying 4-4-2. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, it looks like he's setting up 4-4-2, doesn't it? Obviously, sometimes Nick Cerula has that wing back job, doesn't he? So they might push Tilley on and put Cerula on and have a back three.
Well, one thing I like about the look of this game, as Ken touched on there, Nick Cerula likes to get forward. Archie Davies also likes to get forward. It's an attacking lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, and I think it's, like I said before, it's a well balanced lineup, and I think it's a lineup and a formation that suits the players. I think players, as much as you can tinker around with formations, I think a lot of players feel more comfortable in a 4-4-2 formation. There's potentially some. We talked about Maguire-Drew and Tilley switching wings. There's a potential of Davis and Maguire-Drew maybe. If Davis bombs forward, Maguire-Drew is going to have to sit in at right back, isn't he? But I think it matches up. Looking at the way Southend lined up in their last game, it matches up against them. And John quite often does that, doesn't he, as well? Matches his side to counter the way the opposition have set up before. And just looking quickly at their side, they've made one change today, but I still think they'll go with a 4-4-2 formation. Right,
again, obviously, I suppose hard to guess what a new manager's going to do, what his ideas are in comparison to the last manager. One thing we do know, Ashley Nathaniel George, former Red, of course, isn't in the side today, but Nathan Ferguson does start. We've seen what he's all about. Would you say he's a threat for Southend this afternoon?
Well, he's always a threat, isn't he? I mean, his goal against Forest Green Rovers from 44 yards or wherever it was, I mean, it was an incredible goal, so he has to be watched. And, I mean, in his first season for us, I think he scored 6 goals, there's 7 assists. And then obviously second season it didn't quite happen for him, and he ended up obviously being transferred to Southend. But I think he'd have a big part to play in this game if he can.
If he can get into it, absolutely.
If he can get into it.
And sort of like I suppose on the other side of that, Ashley Nathaniel George not playing, Gary. Ashley Nathaniel George is the sort of player who you wouldn't see for 89 minutes, but then he might pop up a bit of magic to get you a goal. Sometimes you wouldn't see him for the full 90, but he's someone who I'd be looking at if he was playing, going, he can come up with something special. So in a way, pleased he's not.
Always struck me, Joe, when he was at Crawley as a very good impact player. One of those players who could start a game and maybe give you something within the first hour, or come off the bench for the last sort of 25, 30 minutes. And I think he scored quite a lot of his goals coming off the bench. And a lot of his goals were very similar, weren't they? Like to get the ball on the left, cut in field and unleash a right-footed shot into the bottom corner. I think we saw it on a number of occasions, certainly back at home games. So, yeah, you don't know whether it's a tactical thing by the new manager, might have a little bit of a knock or something like that, but it's not a name that you're disappointed not to see on the team sheet this afternoon. Do you know what I mean? Although, saying that, the player they've brought in is a very, very experienced midfielder, 33 years of age, Ricky Holmes, who's played at many, many different clubs in many, many different leagues, Sheffield United and Charlton and teams like that. So he will maybe add that little bit more experience in the midfield compared to Nathaniel George.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if the people at home can hear the PA system. I'm struggling to hear Ken and Gary.
Yeah, that's right.
Are they picking it up, Nick the Geordie? Oh, well, we apologise for that. Or if this is your sort of music, then lucky you. Hopefully it's drowning us out. Southend, Ken, it's a funny. I woke up this morning. One, it's nice not to have to travel too far, so it's nice to be able to wake up. I took my boy to football this morning at Crawley Town. By the way, Crawley Town Community Foundation, their Mini Reds is back on 9 a.m. on the Saturday morning. Love it, really good. Kids really enjoyed it. So I was able to do that, have some breakfast, nice and chilled before leaving. Almost too chilled. I was late to pick up Nick the Geordie. It is a game that I think Reds fans look forward to coming to, don't they? They like coming to Southend away. Yeah,
that's right. There's an excellent pub. We just came in by the away pub one side of the road, isn't there? And just down the road there's the home pub. And obviously we'd love to see that full of the away fans, wouldn't we, in that corner over there, Joe, where we've stood many times against Southend.
And I think it was a really memorable, I don't know if you was here, Gary, really memorable away game. I think it was 2018 when we played Southend in the FA Cup. The Reds travelled in their numbers. We've got some pictures. There's a picture of me here, Ken. I don't know, get that on the screen. There's a picture of me. I brought my boy to his first ever FA Cup game here. Then there's also a picture of Ken that I've dug out there, drinking a shot. Can you believe, Gary?
I can believe it.
Of course I can believe it.
It looks like he's prepped for a commentary, to be honest. He's there, shot out of a tube, and then there's one of the fan base in general as well. Like that end was filled. I was watching a video on the way here as well. Like today, there probably would have been 500 people travelling to this game, making a lot of noise in that away.
It would have been, it would have been fantastic atmosphere. obviously for an important game for us as well as Southend today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to get the view from Southend very shortly, but first let's take a look back at how the Reds got on against Southend at the People's Pension Stadium earlier in the season. Welcome back to Roots Hall. We are joined now by Chris Phillips from the Southend Echo. Chris, thanks for joining us this afternoon.
No problem. Thanks for asking me on.
No, you're very welcome. We like to get the opposition on, so we every week we get the opposition on because obviously you will know Southend far better than we do. We'll see the headlines, your headlines.
Yeah.
So obviously, the big news from Southend this week is that Phil Brown returns to the club.
Yeah, when Southend are concerned, it's always a case of expect the unexpected. But one way or the other, I've been following Southend for sort of 31 years now. It's my club as well, my dad's club, his dad's club, and. Yeah, when that one came through, I have to admit, I thought it was a wind-up to start with. I started getting a few text messages saying that Phil Brown was coming back, and it was quite late at night, and I just replied like, yeah, good one. And then as I started to sort of look into it a little bit more, I was getting more and more messages, and it's exactly the way that it proved to be. So yeah, he comes back today, his first game in charge, and it's a big game for Southend. It's now or never really in their fight to try and stay up.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've got any questions, Ken, you just chip in.
What do you think the fans will think about Phil Jones coming back?
Phil Brown.
I think
Phil Brown. Sorry,
no, Phil Jones will be all right.
Jones,
He needed a defender.
breaking news from Ken.
Yeah. Unless you know something I don't.
Phil Brown. It's a common name, isn't it? Brown Jones. You know what I mean?
Phil Jones can still have a few issues. Yeah.
I was miles away there. Then he called me in. Sorry. Yeah.
You just chip in at any point.
Okay. Now, how do you think that they'll feel about him coming back?
Yeah, getting Phil Jones back is it's divided opinion on Twitter actually.
I bet
Phil was quite a Marmite character when he was here before. I always got on with him really well, so he did a good job here. When he came into the club, Southend were around about mid-table in League Two back in 2013. He got him into the playoffs in his first full season.
Yep.
Second season was fantastic, probably the highlight of my whole time watching Southend. We won promotion at Wembley, equalised in the last second of the playoff final, and then won on penalties. Up to League One, just missed out by a point in the playoffs in League One, the last game of the season, and then it started to unravel after that. Things started to go wrong. Maybe transfer recruitment wasn't quite what it should have been, but that's in the past now. So it's all about what happens now. There's 6 games to go, and Southend have been struggling massively. And it came as a surprise, not only Phil coming back, but the timing of it. Because for me, if you were going to make a change with the management, arguably it could have come far earlier on in the season, maybe 5 or 6 games ago. There was a heavy defeat at Port Vale, which was really poor. Southend were 4-0 down after half an hour or so, and I remember driving back that day in the snow, thinking, well, this could be it. I could be busy tomorrow. And it didn't happen then. And then the chairman came out only sort of 10 days ago and said, no, we've got to get behind Mark Mosley. He's going to be here till the end of the season. The players need to know that. They've got to have confidence that the manager's going to be here, so the town's got to back him. Yeah. And that's why I was surprised when I did start to hear these whispers about Phil.
And I think from the outside, it's a strange one, because it's always easy to say, oh, they should stick by a manager. Yeah. It's always easy to say that when it's not your club.
Yeah.
But like Southend had a really poor start to the season, didn't they? Like Mark Mosley come in from Weymouth, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
Our old foes, Weymouth. Yeah. From back in the day. So he joined from Weymouth. And he had a really slow start. And as you say, you could almost understand it. They'd have gone, do you know what? It's not working.
Yeah.
Get rid. They didn't. They stuck with him. He seems to have clawed Southend back into the fight. The results, looking back at your results, they're up and down, aren't they? You're not getting a string of wins together, but you're maybe a win, 2 draws, a loss. You are picking up points. So I can see why you'd be surprised that at this time they've chosen to.
Yeah, it's easy from the outside looking in. I think you can say, oh, Southend struggled, and they did, but there's huge reasons why. And I mean, he had a transfer embargo until December. So he could only make 3 signings in the summer because you can only have a certain number of players allocated during a transfer embargo. So he had his hands tied behind his back for much of his spell here. And then by the time he could make signings, obviously a lot of the good players have gone because they would have been wanted by other clubs. So he's missed out on a lot of the players that he would have wanted ideally. And then Southend's not really going to be an attractive proposition by that stage. You're going to be bottom of the league, you're struggling. The rumours are well known about the financial problems. So it's a very hard job. I mean, he would have known that before he come in. I'm sure he would have done his due diligence.
Yeah. Do you think he's the man to keep them up then?
Who, Phil Brown?
Phil Brown?
Or
Jones. I mean, do you think he's obviously been bought in, hasn't he, to keep them up?
He's got
obviously.
that instant kind of impact is what we're looking for, and the result last night helped. It was a big game last night for Southend. Colchester are at Oldham, and if Colchester win that, then all of a sudden they're 8 points above Southend, and it's a completely different picture. But that would have given us all a big boost. I mean, I play 5-a-side football on a Friday night, and everyone's a Southend fan in our team. And everyone was following the game, and there were cheers all the time, and we were all a bit more cheerful on the way out the 5-a-side than we were before it even. So coming into it today, if Southend win, we're suddenly 2 points behind Colchester, and we're playing them in a couple of weeks. Yeah. So that could be a huge game. Obviously, it's a derby as well, so it's a big game irrespective of league placing.
And I suppose Phil Brown, he has been there and done it, and he's managed in the Premier League with Hull. He's been in this sort of position before in relegation battles. So I suppose in terms of having Southend are lucky to have the phone number of someone with a pedigree who can come in, who knows the club, has done well here before, has done well at other clubs before, and could be the man to get you out of this trouble.
And what we need is a confidence lift, and he always comes across as quite a confident chap, and hopefully that'll rub off onto the players. It's a fresh start, and especially here it's been a real struggle. I mean, Southend earlier on in the season were shipping goals left, right and centre, and after that Mark Mosley really changed the way that the team played, and he made them a lot harder to break down, and it's not been entertaining to watch. There's not been many goals, but he had made Southend very hard to break down. But going back to here, we haven't won it since January.
Right.
We beat Barrow in January, and since then we haven't won a home game. And scoring goals is a huge issue. We've scored less goals than any other team in the country. And but we don't really attack because they're fearful of getting caught. Because they've seen so many goals. Yeah. So
I mean, we've had an up and down season. At times, we went for a period over Christmas where we beat Bolton away 1-0. We beat Forest Green away 1-0. I think we had 3 1-0 wins on the trot, and we're solid. The last 6 games, I think we conceded something like 13 goals. So we're conceding over 2 goals a game. So it's been an interesting encounter today.
Yeah, because I remember when we went to your place earlier on in the season, we got a point, and Southend were really pleased with that. Because I think it's about September.
We were not happy.
Sorry for that one. I think you were flying at the time, weren't you? You were right up towards the top of the table, and everyone was really sort of raving about Crawley, and they were going to do this and that. But in fairness, I mean, you've had a good cup run. I know you've sort of drifted off a little bit lately, but trust me, it could be a lot worse.
That's true. On the whole, we've had a good season. But are you looking at this as a sort of game when you're looking at Southend's running where you need points to stay up? Are you looking at the likes of Crawley where you're going, all right, 15th in the table, not going down? Are you looking at that going, that's the sort of team you want to play, or is that in a dangerous way because the pressure's all on Southend this afternoon?
You're never really too sure how it's gonna pan out, are you? I mean, you look at it, and we do our research before the game. So I know, Crawley are bottom of the form guide, and you sort of look at it, and on paper you'd say, well, this could arguably be Southend's easiest game they've got left because Crawley haven't got too much to play for. Or you could look at it that because you haven't got too much to play for, that could make you more dangerous, and you're going to try more things that maybe you might not be trying if you were fighting to stay up or you're fighting to go up. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it's going to work out. You've got a couple of ex-Southend players in Glenn Morris and Josh Wright and Lee Bradbury on your bench as assistant manager or whatever his title is as well. So there's been quite a lot of links between the two clubs.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, actually. Obviously, they're the links that from Southend to Crawley. There's two players who have played for Crawley and are playing for Southend this afternoon. Well, actually, Nathaniel George not in the squad, but Nathan Ferguson is. How much of an impact have they made since they come in?
Nathan Ferguson's been excellent. He's played in a wide range of midfield positions. He was someone that we knew of before because he played non-league football in this area. He played for Grays and he played for Billericay as well. Right. So he was someone that sort of was on the radar of our local paper for a start.
Right,
he got to Burton, didn't he? I think he got quite a good move, and I think he went there towards the start of his career. And he's come in. He scored a goal of the season. I don't know whether you've seen it or not, but he scored an unbelievable. We don't get many goals, so we have to make the most of them. It's one of those, why is he shooting? Oh, right. It's about 35 yards. I think I would have been a par 3 from there. So it was a hell of an effort, and he's looked strong, and he's been excellent in a central midfield role. Nathaniel George has been a little bit frustrating, really. He's got very quick feet and he can beat a man, but it's just that kind of end product that's sometimes been a little bit lacking. He has got a couple of goals in recent weeks, to be fair, sort of 2 goals in his last 4 or 5 games, but the new manager's come in today and he's not even on the bench, so it's quite a surprise.
And do you think that is a tactical thing? It's not an injury, I think you think
no,
he's been
it
left
wasn't
out?
one that was mentioned by Mark Mosley. That was a bizarre thing. Mark Mosley did the press conference at 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, and then literally 4 or 5 hours later he's not even in the job. So he wasn't one that was mentioned. There are quite a lot of injuries, but Ash wasn't one that was mentioned pre-match.
So Nathan, you think
Mosley.
Nathan's come in and he's done well? I mean, at our club, if you watched him in training, before the game, he had probably the hardest shot out of any of our players.
I think Nathan,
he could burst the net if he really got hold of it.
Everyone liked Nathan, didn't they? And he was a really nice lad, and he was a good player. But maybe for the way our manager plays, doesn't get around the pitch enough, does he? To play in centre midfield where he wants to operate. So I think that's probably why we let him go.
I think they wanted a bit more out of him, movement-wise.
Yeah.
But give him the ball, and he was good on the ball, and obviously with the shot on him, like we saw at Forest Green Rovers.
Yeah, and he scored a great goal at Port Vale as well.
He
scored 2. And when he first came in, he was playing in like a central 3. So maybe that suited him a little bit more if you're sort of saying about his movement. And in more recent times, they've tried to be a little bit more attacking when time's been running out and the points have really been imperative for Southend. They've gone to more of an attacking 4-4-2 formation, and he's been in the centre of the park.
I think he played more wide for us, didn't he? He didn't necessarily play down that middle bit.
Yeah, he didn't quite get on the ball, did he? Enough. That's the problem. But
I think if he'd have been in the centre of the midfield with the ball coming to his feet, I mean, he's got the distribution.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Both feet as well. He can strike the ball crossfield. He's got really good distribution. So,
well, Chris, really appreciate your time. Thank you for great insights.
I would say good luck, but I don't mean it.
Good luck after today.
Good luck after today. Yeah.
Chris, thank you very much.
No worries.
Chris there telling us how Southend are fighting for survival in the English Football League. It's 10 years yesterday since Crawley made their way into the Football League, and Sam Gadsden caught up with Danny Bullman to talk about that day at Tamworth 10 years ago today.
Danny, thanks for joining us. It's been 10 years to the day since that day in Tamworth where we got promoted to the Football League for the first time in our history. It's crazy how quick that's gone.
Yeah, it was a crazy time, chucking the FA Cup run at Manchester United, and it was good times. It was momentum was very good, and I don't know how many games we had left after Tamworth, but we won it at Tamworth 3-0, and it was a good old drink on the way back, shall we say. And Paul, the chairman, came on, spread a bit of money about, and the boys went crazy. A few drinks, night out in Crawley, and it was a good day all round.
Yeah, what were your fondest memories from that day? Was it the match itself or more the celebrations?
Yeah, I couldn't remember the match. I had a very sore head in the morning, but no, it's just I've said it many times. Just the squad, the group, the camaraderie, and just the spirit that we had. And we as soon as sort of Christmas sort of came around, we knew we was going to get promoted. We knew no team could touch us on our day, and we had a lot of days. So won a lot of games.
Yeah, you touched on the squad there. It was an absolutely crazy squad, one that I think all Crawley fans from that sort of era remember for a long time. But we were unbeatable back then. I mean, I remember as a fan, I think I was 11 being at Tamworth. I was there in the terraces, and you were just thinking, obviously, and then we got promoted the next year, but that was never sort of in doubt. We knew how good the squad back then really was.
Yeah, kudos to Steve for putting such a decent squad together. You know, a squad that could play in the league, and rightly so, and went again. So 2 promotions in 2 years, and like you said, we walked the league basically. I think we probably lost about 3 games that season, didn't draw many, and won a load. And good mate Tubbsy's got a bag full of goals, so that always helps.
Yeah, I think we've still got the record points actually for teams that have been promoted out of the conference, which is pretty mental.
Yeah, and I think I was talking to Joe McNally on the way down to training today. To get out of the conference is very, very tough. It's a very tough league. Only 1 go up automatically, and then the playoffs is a gamble. So to win it in such an emphatic way was very good, and I'm sure Steve harps on about the points total today.
You also touched on that FA Cup run. Obviously, getting promoted to the Football League for the first time in the club's history, that's quite the mean feat. But then playing at Old Trafford isn't too bad either. Would that always be at the top of your memory list, Old Trafford, do you think?
I think the whole season really. It just, getting Crawley in the Football League for the first time ever, and doing it with such ease, and usually maybe a good FA Cup run can disrupt that, but the group were brilliant. Had a squad that, if injuries there'd be cover, and a manager that wouldn't quit. So it was a good blend, and that's why we done so well.
Obviously we mentioned it a bit earlier, but things got even better the next year. Promotion to the League One, just sort of almost skipped League Two really, and then another 5th round trip in the FA Cup.
Yeah, to be fair, that was a grind. Obviously Steve left. I think it was in February, and the wheels kind of fell off a little bit, but we crawled over the line, and one of the good days again was Accrington away. It was a tough day, and I think if we didn't get promoted and won that game, not got promoted, then I think we would have come short in the playoffs, because we were on empty, shall we say.
Yeah, it was pretty good days in the FA Cup that year as well. It wasn't quite United in the 5th round, but a win away at Hull was pretty special.
Yeah, that was a good day actually. I think Tubbsy scored, didn't he?
Yeah.
Shock. And that was a good day. Like I said, I don't kind of remember football for the actual games. It's the celebrations and the off-field sort of antics that ring true to me, and I think that's a big thing in football, and some sort of managers squads that are lacking. And I think that we got it here, and hopefully, it's something to build on.
Obviously, we had plenty of good moments after that, but in that time, honestly, did you think that 10 years later you'd probably still be involved with the football club, or did you picture yourself somewhere else?
No, I always wanted to stay at Crawley, because when I came to Crawley the first time, I don't know when it was, many years ago. Before that, the fans and the club welcomed me, and I felt 6'2" every time I went out into that pitch. I know I'm probably 6'2", but no, and the fans have been brilliant, the club's been brilliant, and I think over the next couple of years, I think we'll go from strength to strength.
Yeah, obviously over 400 appearances for the rest now. It's almost quite hard to see you leaving from now on. You're almost here for life.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. It's I see myself, long term with Crawley, and I want to do great things with Crawley and get us up through the Football League.
Yeah, and obviously you mentioned that you want to do great things with Crawley. How have you found the coaching so far? Obviously working under John, working under Lee.
Yeah, it's been pretty tough for me actually. It's that transition where I was playing a lot at the beginning of the season, and then I kind of decided to take a step back because I wasn't getting a lot of game time, and throughout my season I played week in, week out, so that was adjustment in itself, but I just thought I'd be a better service to take a step back and influence it from the touchline and behind the scenes. So that was a sort of a step back from me, and hopefully I can put my mark on the team in somehow.
Obviously you haven't been doing that alone. I suppose Lewis has sort of stepped into that at the same time as you. It must be sort of, I'm not sure if comforting is the right word, but to have someone alongside you to sort of share the experience going into coaching with you.
Yeah, Young's really gone into it sort of two-footed and taken the ball by the horns, and he's really sort of stuck into it. And he takes most of the session, so it's good for me. I can just sit back and to watch. And learning off him as well, which is a good thing. Learning off John and Lee, and it's a good place to be, a good squad and a good staff.
We've spoken about all these memories, but who knows, one day you could be leading Crawley out from the dugout at Old Trafford one day, you never know.
You never know, I could be Reggie. Bring him there.
Yeah, stranger things have happened.
Yes,
Thanks, Danny.
Take care.
It's time for Gary's Stat of the Week.
It's time for Gary's Fact of the Week. Here's the main man, the one and only.
Do you want to dance a bit in this bit?
I think the intro's longer than the stat. Yes, you're on, Gary.
Southend United have failed to score in 55% of their home matches so far this season.
Oh. It's a good stat, but I'm a bit worried you might jinx us there, Gary. 55%. I'm a bit worried that today they're going to score 4 or something, and then we're going to look really stupid.
I hope they don't, Joe.
Right, look, we've got to get on with the quiz.
We'll just have to score 5.
Another quiz.
They do.
But another quiz. Ken, you're so good at them.
I've never won
right,
one.
Don't look down, because you can't see that far anyway, Ken.
No,
but
can't, no.
Right, let me give the... Okay, question 1. Are you both ready? Okay. 2 Crawley Town players who started the game between the two sides here today, earlier in the season, are no longer at the club. Who are they? So 2 players played for Crawley in the game against Southend earlier in the season, but they're no longer at the club. Who are they? Ken's probably just written Ashley Naddison again. Okay, got 2 names from Ken.
Yeah, I've got 1.
Gary's got 1.
Well, I'll go with that one, but I don't think the second
Okay,
one is right.
Ken, you have gone.
Well, Nathan Ferguson, I hope.
Yes, there's 1.
Ashley Nathaniel George.
No, he didn't start the game. There's 1 point for Ken.
No, I've got the same link because I wrote that as well.
Ashley Nathaniel George. Josh Doherty. Josh Doherty
fair
started.
enough,
Yes,
fair
I thought Gary was going to find this quiz too easy,
forgot
but I'm
about
early
the
doors.
dog.
Yeah, Josh Doherty started that game. So 1 point apiece here. Question 2. In 2018, Crawley met Southend in an FA Cup tie that went to a replay back at the People's Pension Stadium.
Yeah.
But how many goals were scored across the 2 legs, two games? How many goals were scored across the 2 games? Across both games. That's what you've gone for, Ken.
Yeah, that's all I've gone for, yeah.
Okay. Right. Ken's gone for
3.
3. Gary's gone for 10. The answer is 10.
Yay.
It was 1-1 here. The
6-2.
replay was 6-2. You remember after extra time?
No, I don't remember
It was 2
that one
all, went
at
to
all.
extra time.
Yeah.
We ended up losing 6-2. Okay, 2 points for Gary, 1 for Ken. Question 3. Ashley Nathaniel George moved from Crawley to Southend earlier in the season, but in his career, has he scored more goals for Crawley or Southend? So he's played for Southend throughout this season, Ashley Nathaniel George. Has he scored more goals for Southend or Crawley in his career?
It's a bit like the old high or lower, Joe.
Yeah, a little
I'm
bit like
loving it.
hard.
Bit of
Like the old
nostalgia.
days, yeah. Gary, what have you gone for? You've gone for Crawley. Ken's gone for Crawley. The answer is Crawley. He scored 9 for Crawley. 9 for Crawley and 2 for Southend. So what's that? 3-2?
Yeah.
Question 4. Which side in League 2 have scored the most goals this season? So which side in League 2 has scored the most goals this season? Oh, look at my computer, Gary.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to rack my brain.
I'll give you a clue. I know the answer.
You got it written down?
Yeah, I've got a clue, yeah. Oh, we've got a crossing out.
Trying to think who he plays for now.
Who? Whisper.
They're number 9, you know, that one that keeps scoring goals.
The number 9 that keeps scoring goals.
Yeah. Who?
You're not thinking of Owen Doyle, are you?
Owen Doyle, yeah.
He plays for Bolton, Ken.
Yeah, I put Bolton down there.
Okay, what have you gone for, Gary?
I don't think that's right, but only because
Gary's
they're top of the
gone
table.
Cambridge.
Bolton.
Ken's gone Bolton. It's actually Oldham.
Is it?
Oldham
Wow,
have
wow.
they've scored 64 goals. Okay, last question.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
absolutely chuffed that I've caught you out a couple of times,
Absolutely,
Gary. I've got to
yeah.
be honest. Which team in League 2 has conceded the most goals? Oldham have scored the most goals with 68. Sorry, 64. The team and there's somebody who's conceded 68 goals. So who has conceded the most in League Two? I'll tell you what, the whole Crawley Town media team is having a bit of a rave on. Take your time, Gary. I'm having a great time. Come on, Ken. Right, Gary, we go. Barrow. Ken has gone. Southend. The answer is Oldham. They've scored the most. They've also conceded the most. So there you go. That's your -4 goal difference.
Wow.
I thought it was a tricky joke because I was going to thought he was going to say Southend, but they've conceded the same as us.
Well, all right, Gary, you had your stat of the week. Well, I'm actually chuffed with that. It was Gary wins 3-2, but I mean, I was the real winner.
You were
by producing a quiz that caught Gary out 3 times.
Absolutely.
Well done, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Well done,
Caught
Joe.
me out
Well
about
done.
5 times.
Yeah, well, Ken, to be honest, it's not difficult to catch you out. But it's a little bit harder to catch Gary. Gary, thank you very much. We're going to let you get back to your commentary position. Of course, you guys can join Gary and Ken, on iFollow in 20 minutes' time. They'll be with you once again for the game. So, Gary, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Joe.
Ken, we got a couple of minutes before we need to part ways. We heard from Danny Bullman there earlier on about it was 10 years yesterday since that day in Tamworth when Crawley got promoted. Did you go to Tamworth?
I did go to Tamworth.
Tell us your memories.
Well, I mean, it was a great day out, wasn't it? And I think me and Ben had to get back. We had a birthday party in Bracknell, I think, on the way back. So we'd been to the game. We had to get in the car and get back as quick as we can back to Bracknell.
You were drunk at that party in Bracknell, weren't you, Ken?
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Well, they'll let the wife drive home. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, my memories are you all know her as Kiosk Caff.
Yeah.
AKA Katie in the ticket office. She actually got married on the day we played Tamworth.
Oh,
married.
no.
Absolutely disgusting behaviour.
Oh.
I've never let her forget it.
No.
So I actually missed that game. Supported the club for about 25 years, but missed that day at Tamworth. Livid.
Nice that she got married to Nick, though, innit? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
he's a nice guy.
Yeah, but we don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
Now, so that means we have been in the football league coming up to 10 years.
Yeah.
Incredible. When I think back to when we were in the Dr. Martins League, we spent 20 years in the Dr. Martins Premier, and sort of like then to get into the conference was dreamland.
Yeah.
So then a few years later to get out of that and get into it must be about 8 years in the conference to then get into the football league, absolute dreamland.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, as a kid when I first started watching Crawley in the 60s, even the 70s, I never dreamed it would ever be in the football league. You know, if someone had said to me, your team's going to end up in the football league and get promoted to League One, I would never have believed them, you know. So it was a fantastic achievement by the club, I think, you know, for the number of fans we get and, you know, the sort of the structure of the club. You know, to actually achieve that was fantastic, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to put you on the spot with a few questions here, Ken.
Okay.
In the football league era, so from that moment, throughout these 10 years, who's the best player you think we've had during the football league era?
Matt Tubbs.
Yeah.
Matt Tubbs for me. I mean, he was a poacher, wasn't he? I mean, Craig McAllister did a lot of work for him, got the ball, you know, and laid it up for him. But he was always seemed to be able to get into the right place at the right time, didn't he?
Yeah,
he was always there, and he would score goals. You think, well, where did he come from? You know, he's suddenly there, wasn't he?
Yeah, it's such a
Matt
shame
Tubbs.
that he never went on and he never left Crawley and then ended up scoring goals elsewhere as much as he did at Crawley, did he?
When he went to Bournemouth, he was their most expensive player they'd ever bought. Then Bournemouth, I think it was £800,000 they gave Crawley for him. You know, now Bournemouth have spent millions on players since.
Yeah,
but at that time he was their most expensive player.
Yeah.
So it just shows you how good he was, really.
And I'm going to throw a name out there. I don't know. I think he's here today, probably. Danny Bullman as well. I think for me, the sort of he done it in the conference for us. He done it in League Two. He's done it in League One. He's done it back in League Two. And he's always been good enough, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean? He's always doesn't matter what league he plays. He seems to be an outstanding player.
Yeah. Well, he's one of those players, isn't he, Joe? That no matter what team you put him in, he's going to play well. And over the years, as you know, I mean, he's out there on the pitch now with the players. I think he's travelled today. I'm not sure.
I think he just loves being around football and a squad. Like even there, like now, I don't even know what he's doing. Just kicking a ball in the goal. I don't know if the camera can see Danny Pullman.
But he's
just kicking a ball in the goal.
He is one of those players that every team he's played in have always played well, haven't they? I mean, he's that. Even now, you hear the fans of Crawley saying, "Where's Danny Bullman bringing back into the team?"
Yeah.
At 42 now, I think he is. He's a little bit old, but I think he could probably still do a job. If we were to get him a little bit fit, I don't think he's quite fit enough at the moment.
We've had some decent goalkeepers in that era as well. Obviously, Scott Shearer was the one who sort of seemed to come up with us. Michelle Kuipers, of course, they played in League Two. We then had Paul Jones, not Phil Jones, Paul Jones.
Okay.
He did a great job for
Paul
us.
Brown, okay.
But for me, Glenn Morris probably been the best in the Football League era.
I mean, what a goalkeeper Glenn's been. I mean, Player of the Month again last month.
Right.
And I spoke to him yesterday at training at the ground, and I said to him, "You're probably going to get Player of the Year," and he said, "I don't know about that, Ken, you know." Like Tom Nichols and a few others. I said, "Well, you do it every game, mate." I mean, and he's fantastic, isn't he? He's such a nice guy. I mean, you couldn't meet a better person, could you?
No, he's really top bloke, Tom.
Yeah.
But well, that's me and Ken reminiscing. I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter yesterday about that game at Tamworth and then the time in between. Unbelievable. Just wanted to reflect on that and. Enjoy thinking back to that unbelievable season, and then obviously the foundations that built the foundations really for what we've got going at the moment.
It did. You're right, dead right.
But yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it from myself and Ken, and obviously Gary. Thank you very much for joining us. We will be up in Bradford. I think Harry is joining us up in Bradford Valley Parade on Tuesday night. So please join us once again. We kick off from 6 here on Talk of the Town. Before we go, a big thanks to our main sponsor here at the show, Mr. Declutter. They have continued to support us throughout this second half of the season. We are really grateful for their support that's enabled us to keep putting the show on. As I say every week, if you're looking for a loft clearance, a garage clearance, speak to those guys. They're top pros and they're fantastic at what they do. So I've seen some of the before and after photos they produce, unbelievable. Give them a ring or drop them an email. Check them out online and tell them that you've heard of us, heard of them from here at Talk of the Town, and I'm sure they will sort you out a little discount for supporting them. Ken, thank you very much. Thank you for Nick and Jordan for joining us here at Roots. We'll see you on Tuesday. All that's left for us to say is, come on, you Reds! What a show! If you enjoyed it as much as we did, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon so you can be notified about when we are next live here from Talk of the Town. Make sure you don't ever miss an episode, subscribe, hit the bell, and we will see you again very soon.